People say life falls apart in dramatic ways. But for Samuel Turner, 55, it didn't happen with thunder. It happened in the quiet. He was a husband, a father, a man who had carried his family on his back for decades. From the outside, everything looked steady: the paid-off house, the grown kids, the familiar routine. But inside, Samuel felt something slipping. Every morning he woke up with a heavy question pressing on his chest. Why can't I do the things I know I should do? He promised he'd start walking tomorrow. He promised he'd finish that chair in the garage. He promised he'd sleep earlier, eat better, drink more water. But he never did. Not because he didn't want to, but because something inside him had quietly shut down. One cold evening, he stepped into his garage. The smell of old wood and dust hung in the air. Unfinished projects sat exactly where he had left them. The half-built chair, the dusty paints, the treadmill covered with clothes, the box of books waiting to be opened. He stood there, staring at the version of himself he used to be. And then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he said, "What happened to me?" He wasn't lazy. He was tired in a way rest couldn't fix. Years of being the responsible one had drained something inside him. The weight of decisions, responsibilities, and silent expectations had worn him thin. He didn't know it yet, but what he was fighting wasn't a lack of discipline. It was decision fatigue, the slow erosion of willpower after years of carrying too much. A week later, Samuel visited Robert, an old firefighter friend who seemed to age slower than everyone else. They sat on Robert's porch, coffee steaming in the cold air. The sun dipped behind the trees, painting the sky gold. Samuel finally said the words he'd been afraid to say. "I feel like I lost something, but I don't know what." Robert didn't ask for details. He didn't give a lecture. He just nodded and said, "You haven't lost anything. You're just carrying too much. And you keep blaming yourself for being tired." Samuel didn't move. The truth hit deeper than pain. Robert leaned back in his chair. "You don't need motivation," he said. "You need one small win. Just one. Every day. Not a life overhaul. Not a perfect plan. A win so small the brain couldn't resist it." That night, Samuel chose his small win. Walk for 5 minutes. Not because it was impressive, because it was doable. The next morning, Samuel walked for 5 minutes. The second day, he walked again. By the 5th day, something softened. By the 10th day, the heaviness began to lift. He didn't feel motivated. He felt awake. Little things followed. He cleaned one shelf in the garage. He fixed the chair leg. He went to bed earlier. He wrote a few lines in a notebook. He drank more water without thinking. They weren't big steps, but each step gave him back a piece of himself. Small wins built confidence. Confidence built momentum. Momentum built identity. And one morning, while walking under a pale sunrise, Samuel realized, I was never lazy. I was exhausted. And I needed to be human again. His life didn't change in a day. It changed because he finally understood what he had been fighting. Not laziness, not weakness, not a lack of discipline, but years of silent pressure, wrapped in the name of responsibility. And the cure wasn't a grand comeback. It was a single step, repeated until he felt alive again.